last but not least, draft lottery is tonight. The odds, I think Detroit, I think the Charlotte Hornets, a couple of other teams. There's like 4 teams. They got like a 14% chance to get the number one pick or to win the lottery. I'm gonna give you my 10-4 hat conspiracy theory, right? So Michael Jordan, probably about 2 months ago, let it leak out that he was talking to people about buying the Charlotte Hornets. He wanted to sell the Charlotte Hornets, right? And when you start to think about it, when he bought the Charlotte Hornets from Bob Johnson just took it to the dump. You know, the Bobcats was a bad franchise. They wasn't making no money. As a matter of fact, I think he lost money every year that he owned the Bobcats. He had to get rid of it, right? And Michael Jordan has turned it into a lucrative business, and it actually helped him become a billionaire. So he's successful financially with running this business, running this franchise. You know, so kudos to Michael Jordan for that. So why would he be wanting to sell it if he's making money from it? Well, here's my theory. I think Michael Jordan don't really want to sell the Hornets. I think that he sees this great talent in Wembanyama and Scoot Anderson coming in, and he is saying these guys are franchise players, right? But every single time there's a can't miss franchise player in the draft, it seemed like even if the Hornets have the best odds to land the number one pick, the Hornets don't get nowhere near. The closest they got was number 2 or 3, which was the year that Anthony Davis was there. But it was only Anthony Davis that was a franchise player. I think they ended up getting Michael Kidd-Gilchrist at number 2. You know, and there was a lot of suspicion behind that draft lottery because at the same time, that was the same year that the Pelicans at the time was at the Hornets, New Orleans Hornets. I think it was the New Orleans Hornets. They tried to trade Chris Paul to the Lakers, and the NBA didn't approve the trade. Now, there's a whole lot of speculation on why they didn't approve. There was some more red tape and, you know, whatever, right? But what I really think happened was at the time, the New Orleans Hornets did not have a team owner, so the NBA owned the Hornets. The NBA was looking for a buyer. And how do you convince someone to spend I don't know, $500 million to own a franchise with no franchise player and no way to sell any tickets? So you mean to tell me you want me to buy this team that don't even got a franchise player, that ain't gonna make the playoffs, that ain't gonna win games, they can't sell tickets? So you want me to buy a bucket with a hole in it? So I thought it was in the NBA's best interest to not let that trade go through. But as time went on and people started evaluating Anthony Davis and all the things was coming out that Anthony Davis was a generational talent, can't miss franchise player, I think the NBA pivoted and was like, you know what? We got a better idea. So they allowed the Clippers to trade for Paul because they already had their plan B, which was actually better than their plan A. Their plan B was, you know what? We will let the Pelicans win this lottery and get the number 1 pick so they can get Anthony Davis. Boom, there's your franchise player. That's how you're going to sell your tickets, and that's how we go sell this team. So on the day of the draft lottery, the potential owner, who was also the owner of the New Orleans Saints, was at the lottery. The balls went through, boom, boom, boom. Number 1 pick landed to the Pelicans, not the Pelicans, the New Orleans Hornets. And what did that owner do as soon as he found out he had to pick? On national TV, there was like, and now he's signing the contract to buy the team. It was almost like he was like I ain't signing nothing if we don't get the number 1 pick. I don't know what he would have done if they hadn't got the number 1 pick, but I'm pretty sure he already knew they was going to get it. But just in case, he was like, I ain't signing nothing. Like, why did they make that deal the day before the lottery? Like, why make it so obvious? Do the lottery, they get the number 1 pick, and then he signed on national TV. He signed the contract to buy the team. I thought that was just majorly suspicious, right? But whatever. That's just how I think, right? Anyway, the Hornets didn't get it, right? The last time the Hornets had chances to get the number 1 pick and that was a franchise player, they always miss out on it. It's almost like they don't want the Hornets to have that type of player because the NBA needs them in bigger markets for the health of the NBA. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about Charlotte. When we had a good team, we had Ricky Davis, we had Eddie Robinson, we had Baron Davis, we had David Wesley, Paul Silas was our coach. One year we had Glenn Rice. We had a lot of good teams down there in Charlotte, and it didn't matter how good the team was, and they was in the playoffs. They couldn't even sell out tickets for the playoff games. I'd never forget. Baron Davis had the Charlotte Hornets in the playoffs the year before they moved to New Orleans. They had the Charlotte Hornets in the playoffs, and you could get tickets the same day of the game, and they wasn't expensive at all. Nobody was buying them. For a playoff game with a player like Baron Davis in his prime, crazy, right? And it just don't make sense to have a superstar in Charlotte because we haven't proven that we can generate a lot of money in Charlotte. So I think that goes into the account when we start thinking about where players are going to go. So I say all that to say this. Michael Jordan probably knows and understands that, and he sees two players that he would like to have, and he probably know that he not gonna get them. So he probably leaked it out there. I'm gonna sell this team, and I don't think the NBA wants to be in another situation where we got to find a new team owner, and especially the GOAT being the owner of the Charlotte Hornets. That's just good. That's just good TV. And then on the fact that that's the only black owner that exists. You don't want to lose your minority, right? So they probably was like, all right, might want to sell the team. Look, we got to throw them a bone at some point, right? We got to throw them a bone. And it is my belief, I don't think they would give them the number one pick for them to get Wemby. I think they really want Wemby in a big market. So I don't think Wemby will go to Charlotte. But I do think they're rig it so the Charlotte Hornets would get the number 2 pick and get Scoot Henderson, which is cool because he might end up turning out even being better than Wemby. Who knows? So I'm cool with that. So watch out for that. You heard it here first. Another couple of things I think is going to come out of this lottery is there's a couple of teams that tank, and then you got the Dallas Mavericks who actually missed the playoffs on purpose so they can get a chance at their lottery pick. I want to see how Adam Silver will handle that. Is he going to feel bad for them? And well, I know the teams that tank are not going to get rewarded. They're going to try not to reward those teams. But the Mavs on Mark Cuban is so vocal and he likes to call things out. I don't know if Adam Silver will be comfortable enough to actually give him the short end of the stick because he know he's going to say something, but maybe he is. So even though the Mavs tank so they can not make the playoffs so they can keep their lottery pick, I wonder if they don't even get in the lottery pick because I think it's a top 10 protected pick. So if they end up with the number 11 pick or anything after 11, it goes to New York for the Porzingis trade. So in order for them to keep their draft pick, they have to get 10 or better. If they get anything after 10, it goes to New York. I'm real interested to see how Adam Silver treat. He already fined Mark Cuban for tanking. Is he go punish him again in the lottery and not allow him to even get his top 10 pick and let it go to New York? That's going to be real interesting to watch. So the teams that tank, Mark Cuban that tank, and then Michael Jordan who said he going to sell the team. Let's see how they treat them in this lottery, man. And then y'all come back in the comments and we'll talk about that. Let's see this comment real quick. I think that Porter can guard AD. He won't live in the paint, and I like Porter outside the paint. D good enough to keep AD to 20 to 25 points in the paint. Boy, you done lost your mind. You done lost your mind. They messed by paying Poole too early. No, I don't think they had it. They paid Poole. And the issue was they kept Draymond and Clay. They should have paid Poole and then traded Draymond and Clay, right? If they would have done it, they would have had a better season, right? But they paid Poole and kept the guys that was jealous that he got paid, and they effed the locker room up and they made life hell for Poole, and it kind of it really backfired on the team. So they didn't manage that well. They didn't manage Dre and Clay well. They didn't manage that crap well. You go pay this guy, you got value in this guy, but you're gonna let them, pretty much mess his head up with whatever mind games they was playing.